So when you take this vehicle out of the box, the handling is interesting to say the least. It traction rolls like there's no tomorrow. No matter what you do, it will traction roll. So something that we've done, so knowing that the vehicle wouldn't jump very well, it's around 26 pounds. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. It's just not designed for that. It's a solid axle at the back. It's meant to be underground. I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to sacrifice to make this vehicle better, or at least very good in at least one area, and that area was bashing. So what I've done, I've lowered the right height by using the outer holes here for the adjustment of the shocks right there. I've widened the stance of the vehicle by changing the 20 millimeter hexes that come from stock by 17 millimeter hexes, which are offset. I think it's 12 millimeter. I'll double check and I'll put the link in the description. But it's significantly wider from stock. So 17 millimeter hexes with an offset. I will let you know in the description below how much of that. Also, as you can tell, I have different tires. Those tires are trenchers, my bad, and those are belted. They are slightly lower than the stock tires, which are now sitting on the Yeti XL, which enabled me to go from a 16 tooth pinion to 18. So I kept more or less the top speed of the vehicle, and it made the torque a lot easier to manage. For the suspension at the front, I gave it the full, actually zero compression whatsoever to the suspension. As you can tell, there's about 3 millimeters here of space. However, at the back, I did the complete opposite. There's about an inch here of compression here, and there's still a fair amount of preload there to make sure that the rear stays planted to the ground. However, it is a little more composed now that we've played with this. So roughly, that's the only modifications that we've made to this truck with regards to the handling. And oh boy, is it a different story. This car went from being impossible to turn, to steer, to a vehicle that goes straight as an arrow, and once you want to turn, it actually stays on its four wheels. It's actually quite difficult to traction roll now, even in a high traction surface such as grass. It's very interesting to drive. You almost have two vehicles fighting against each other. So you have with the solid axle at the back, the independent suspension at the front. It went from being, frustrating to incredibly interesting, and the sheer power of this is unbelievable. This is a 7 kV motor, has loads and loads and loads of torque, goes through batteries like there's no tomorrow though, but it's very torquey, and with the 100C batteries that I have there, it's very fast. We'll clock it at some point to give you some type of idea.